human rights, Pakistan has been seeing its worst human rights violations since last year, May, but even more so now following Imran Khan's abduction rather, on May 9th, 2023. We have with us today Temur Jagra, former minister for PTI from KP, as well as barrister Khadija Siddiq with us. Welcome, both of you. Let me start with you, Temur. Talk to us about the grossest human rights violations that we can think of, that we can remember in the history of Pakistan.
Assalamu alaikum. I guess it's a relevant topic, given that today is International Human Rights Day. Look, Pakistan and accompanying those political engineering experiments, there have always been some level of human rights abuses. But what many people say, and I certainly haven't seen in my lifetime, the sort of activity, the sort of action, and the sort of abuse of fundamental rights and human rights that we've seen since last April, and in particular over the last 7 months. It is to what we've seen before, because I remember the Musharraf emergency. But through that emergency, where there was General Zia takeover, but again, from people who've lived through it, they say that the breadth of what is happening today significantly outscales what happened then. And what is even more pertinent is that what is happening as part of a pre-poll rigging drive that are going to make Pakistan's elections meaningless. There are over 10,000 people arrested since the events of May 9th and 10th. There's 16 of our workers killed during the protests of May 9th and 10th. And neither of that is to say that the arson and the violence on May 9th and 10th is not condemnable. It is. And if there are any people from PTI involved, prosecuted, they should be punished. And if there are people involved from outside PTI, the same. But all of that should happen under the umbrella of the law. And that is what seems to have disappeared over the last 6 or 7 months. Pakistan's law, Pakistan's constitution, and sort of police action on protests that we've seen. Forget the farcical trial that Imran Khan is facing at the moment. I want to focus on 3 things that come top of mind that I haven't seen before. First, perhaps because we're a society for its women, is the sort of shocking scenario of women, some of whom are PTI office last 200 plus days, first not able to get bail hearings, then if they're able to get bail hearings, not able to get their cases concluded, and once they get bail, still unable to get a release from jail. This is not the society that I know, and I'm frankly shocked that outside of the PTI family, our human rights organizations, our women rights organizations, and the international community in Pakistan has not raised this as more of an issue. That's issue number 1, and I'm sure Khadija will talk more to that. Issue number 2 is whole campaign of enforced disappearances, each of which result either in the person who's been disappeared, once they're back, leave the party, join another party, change their political views, become an approver, or in the case of journalist Imran Riaz Khan, lose his ability to speak. Now, with all due respect, in mainstream Pakistan, we've seen the issue of enforced disappearances. It's a long-standing one in the periphery, in Balochistan, in Fatah, But we've not seen it happen in Peshawar and Islamabad and Lahore and Karachi. And it's been happening over here. And that's unprecedented. And maybe this gives us the opportunity to shine the light on the problem in general and to raise a voice to say no one should be disappeared outside the course of law in Pakistan. The third thing is the repeat arrests of political leaders, where the law and the action of the police just become a farce. We've had leaders rearrested 16 times. In case the cycle continues, and until they choose to side with the administration, leave the party, nothing changes for them. This is not about May 9th, because if it were the worst actions that all those people face who are simply trying to exercise their right to free political choice. And why is this important right now? This is important because not only does Pakistan is to be a constitutional government chosen by the people of Pakistan, and an exercise this sustained, this deep, and this vicious can only be meant to try and alter the choice of the people of Pakistan. And that's something that should not be acceptable to any of us, regardless of our political beliefs, regardless of whichever side of the fence we stand on, or be acceptable to any stakeholders that consider themselves friends of the people of Pakistan. That, I think, in a nutshell, is the sort of situation that we face, who even when they're facing the course of the law, and we accept that because I think that happens to every politician in Pakistan. But despite doing that, we have to stay in, because we've always looked at the police as a force that is to protect us from criminals. It feels that at this moment we live in a Pakistan where we need legal protection from the police. I guess that's what I'll end on.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that. And as I come to you, my first sanctity of home, that that's there, will, as Temur also hinted on about, when he mentioned the constitution of speech, freedom of association, but more so about the women prisoners that we have, and the precedents that the Supreme Court had already set when it came to, say, Zahir Jaffer, how women, do get bail no matter what, doesn't matter about the merit of the course. So let's hear from you about the plight of the women in Pakistan.
Right, so coming to the unprecedented whereas some of them were mere party supporters and who were merely present at the place of occurrence, who were not involved in any sort of rioting, they were unarmed, they had no weapon of offense that has been alleged to them. So these women, they have 8 months. It is very crucial for us to understand, for the overseas Pakistanis and for the international community to understand that in Pakistan, if you're entitled to post-arrest bail under the section 497 first proviso of the Code of Criminal Procedure. So you're entitled to post-arrest bail irrespective of the crime that you've committed, irrespective of the fact that there is allegedly overwhelming material against you that is incriminatory per se, you are still entitled to it. So the fear of these women is rearrest them even if they get post-arrest bails. So what is happening now is that in the cases of female prisoners that I'm dealing with, their post-arrest bails are not being heard by the Honorable Lahore High Court. It is very, very unfortunate that on the 24th of October hearing, but it was rescheduled. Remember, they were again fixed for hearing and arguments were gets cancelled all of a sudden. Then again, last week we went to the office and we said, now it's been over 2 months. And they said that for next week, for this coming week, they will be fixed. On Saturday, I get a message from the Lahore High Court that the bails will be fixed for Monday, 11th of December, that is tomorrow. But then again, I get a message again stating that the bails will be rescheduled in the next subsequent bench that had been allotted for these bails. So it is actually a travesty of justice that these bails are actually meeting the fate of consequent delays. If they are heard, the females are not released. Rather, they are nominated because they are actually shattering their own prosecution case. Because for common sense, it's commonsensical that a female present at one place of occurrence cannot be present somewhere else. Their own prosecution so you can't say that if Taiba Raja was present, let's say outside Commander House, she was also present that at the same time. Present she was also one place of occurrence cannot be present somewhere else. So you can't say that if Taiba Raja was present, let's say in the mystery. It is still unclear what exactly is are the charges against them, because when the cases were heard, I'll tell you, when they were actually heard for the first time in the Lahore High Court, the honorable bench focused on some of the very, very, very pertinent and very, very crucial aspects of the case, of the prosecution case. And that, in a sense, shattered the entire case. So, the bench asked for a few questions pertaining to the prosecution case, and the state, who claims to have over 600 videos of the occurrence and claims to have nominated people as per geofencing. They have overwhelming evidence as to call records of the females and all the people who were present over there. But they did on 18th of October in the Lahore High Court, they were granted. All of the bails were granted and none were refused. None were dismissed by the Honorable High Court on that day. And then subsequent to that, no further bail was allowed to be heard specifically for this 9th May Corps Commander house attack. So it is very unfortunate that these women are suffering